Smile horror story. Aashi had just left Uttarakhand for college and come to Delhi to live in a new flat. She got a flat half an hour away from her college. For the next 2 days, Aashi and her parents, who had come to drop her off, started setting up her house. While setting up the house, they found a cardboard box of the previous owners, but they somehow left it on the side. After 3 days, after saying goodbye to Aashi, her parents left for their home in Uttarakhand. While leaving, Aashi's mother turned back and hugged her tightly again and said that she was feeling some strange uneasiness. It would have been better if Aashi had taken this uneasiness a little more seriously, because for the next few days, no one had imagined what was going to happen to her. Aashi was very fond of photography and editing, and she wanted to do something further in this field. But due to lack of money at home, she was never able to buy a professional camera for herself, but she was happy after coming to Delhi. She had made a lot of friends in college. She also organized a small party for her friends on the coming Saturday. Friday came in no time. As soon as she returned from college, she started cleaning the house for the party. While cleaning the balcony, her eyes fell on a cardboard box lying in the corner, which had got completely rotten after lying outside for so long. Rotting things were coming out of that box. There was a smell of cardboard, but for some reason it was attracting Aashi towards it. When Aashi opened the box and saw there was a vintage camera and a reel along with old stuff, Aashi was very happy to see this, and she quickly opened the camera, removed the old reel and filled a new reel and started clicking pictures from it. She was also surprised that when everything else in such an old box has been destroyed, then how is this camera still working? But she kept all these thoughts aside and quickly went and started clicking pictures of the flower pots and plants placed outside. An old auntie, Mrs. Kaushik, lived right in front of Aashi's flat, who used to say good morning to her every morning when she was going to college. Seeing the same auntie and her cat on the balcony, Aashi took some photographs of them too, and thought that she would get the photographs developed and gift them to the auntie. The next day, early in the morning, Aashi got all the photographs developed from a nearby photo studio and put them in an envelope and went straight to Mrs. Kaushik, who liked the photographs very much. When Aashi returned home, she started looking at the other photographs too, and noticed a very strange thing in each photograph. In the background of every photograph taken from that camera, there was a very blurred shadow somewhere which had a smile on its face. While looking at those photographs, Aashi got lost in them. It started feeling as if the smile of that shadow was slowly he is filling up every picture, and in every second picture he is coming closer to the camera. Then suddenly the doorbell of Aashi's house rang, and when Aashi opened the door, her friends were standing there. Saturday had come and her friends had arrived for the house party, but Aashi was feeling a little unwell, so she canceled the party and sent her friends back. When she came back to her room, her attention again went to that camera. This time, Aashi took a few pictures of herself in the mirror with that camera. Then suddenly a crack started forming on that mirror. Seeing this, Aashi dropped the camera from her hand. As soon as Aashi turned back, she could see her own reflection in the mirror. In the reflection, the camera was still in her hand, and there was the same horrible smile on her face. Seeing this, she screamed very loudly and fell down after hitting the chair kept there. When she got up, the mirror was completely normal. There was just a crack on it. She thought that it was all her fault, so she quietly went and slept. 2 days later, while reading a shiki in her living room, she fell asleep in the afternoon and woke up at 3 in the night. Aashi collected her books and started going towards her room, but what she saw in front of her from the drawing room window shocked Aashi. Mrs. Kaushik was standing on her balcony, but there was a huge smile on her face, just like Aashi had in her other photos. She froze there as if she was trying her best, but she was unable to move from there. Suddenly, a hand came out from behind Mrs. Kaushik, which had a piece of glass in it, and that hand made a deadly attack on her neck. Aashi wanted to scream, but no sound came out of her mouth. Out of fear, she closed her eyes tightly, and when she opened them, she was lying on her bed, and Mrs. Kaushik's cat was roaming on the bed. Thinking it to be a dream, Aashi went back to sleep. Aashi woke up directly the next night at 9 a.m. on her friend's call, and she saw that cat sitting there in the corner of the room, and the cat was just staring at the camera. But Aashi's eyes remained wide open when she saw the cat sitting in the corner of the room. She saw blood marks all over her bed from the cat's paws. Aashi ran back to her window and saw Mrs. Kaushik was at the same place where she had seen her standing last night, and she had that piece of glass in her hand. Her cat was sitting in a pool of blood next to her and licking its feet. The flowers around her had wilted, and all the plants in the pots had also died. Aashi ran to her room, and the cat had disappeared, but the blood marks were still spread all over the room. Aashi was unable to understand anything. She quickly went and threw the camera in the dustbin. Then her eyes fell on the old reel lying in the box. When she looked at the reel, she realized that it was the same old reel of the same plants and flowers that Mrs. Kaushik had taken just 3 days back. But this time the shadow was clearly visible. In every picture, Aashi herself was standing behind, and there was the same horrifying smile on her face. Aashi felt that she was going mad, and as she saw the next pictures, her whole body went numb. The next pictures were of Aashi only. Many were of her childhood, many were of her school, and in every picture that shadow was standing right behind Aashi, looking at her with a scary smile. Suddenly, a click sound came from the camera lying in the dustbin behind, but there was nothing behind. And then Aashi saw the last picture of that reel, and that last picture was also of Aashi. A photo taken in the drawing room with the reel in her hand, from the dicky. But the scariest thing about that photo was that right in front of Aashik in the photo, Mrs. Kaushik and many other people like her were standing with a long and horrifying smile. Shivering, Aashi looked up, and the same shadow came right in front of Aashi and screamed loudly. Smile! After that night, Aashi didn't come to college, nor was she picking up anybody's call. Worried, the next day her friends went inside with the flats agent, but there was no one there. Just a lot of stuff, and right in the middle of the stuff, there was a vintage camera Aashi's parents took Aashi's belongings with them. For many months, there was no trace of Aashi. But one day, Aashi's younger brother picked up the camera, and he too took a photo of the tree outside their house, which got completely rotten after 3 days. When his younger brother got the photo developed, he saw that Aashi was standing behind that tree. If you like this video, then don't forget to subscribe to our channel Dark Mysteries Unfold.